everyone, WX Ninja here with your daily weather update as well as the Thanksgiving Day forecast. So let's get on to it. You can see it's getting a little bit colder here out in the west. Kind of have a front dip down like this and then kind of flattens out to the eastern part of the country. Seeing some snow back in the Four Corners regions up north and into Oregon and Washington. Nothing extreme cold, but colder than what they have seen. As you remember, most of western United States has been warmer and drier than average so far this fall. So we're kind of seeing a switch right now. So let's get into the overall pattern. So this is how we are right now. Higher heights, lower heights. Higher heights typically mean a little bit warmer and calmer weather. Lower heights typically mean colder and stormier, sometimes snow. So red, warm, blue, cold. That's how you can look at it. So we kind of watch this pattern develop. Now I want to point out, as you see this digging right here, you see this low right here. So this is why I always look ahead for patterns. It's because this low, it kind of showed up and went away, and then it kind of stayed there. And this low, you know, the run has kept it in, run after run after run after one. You know, we started seeing it last week, and then I was watching it through the weekend. And I typically don't do weather videos over the weekend. I almost did, but I don't know. Everyone needs a break from something, right? Anyhow, so this low kept showing up, and that's why I look at trends and see what stays and what doesn't. And this stayed. So this is going to impact southern Oregon, northern California. We'll look at it in the other map in a minute, but it's going to get quite stormy, and this is coming in right before Thanksgiving. So if you're traveling anywhere, Oregon, southern Oregon, down into California, driving is going to be a pain. They're going to receive a lot of snow. It's going to be very windy. It's going to be very rainy. So it's not going to be ideal for traveling conditions. It's going to affect parts of eastern Oregon as well, and then kind of scoot off to the northeast and just kind of die out. We'll check that in the map. But so if you're traveling anywhere in this area, just plan on travel taking a lot longer. Flying, there may be some flights delayed. I'm not sure. We'll just kind of have to see how that goes. All right, so let's keep going forward, and you'll watch this thing kind of comes down. The actual low, though, goes up. Then you see another low off the coast here. This kind of slides off to the northeast, strengthens again. See a little bit lower, heights. We've been watching. Model's been fighting which is going to win out, the lower the highs. Kind of going back and forth. It's going on a colder solution right now. See another colder shot going across the U.S. there. Deepens. Alaska. Ooh. Just kind of stays up there towards the end of the run. So now let's see what they're thinking temperature-wise. This is the European model. The other model was the GFS. So here we are today, and then we go tomorrow. We see cold air start to develop out west. Spreads. A little warmer on the east. Then it takes over most of the country. This is your Thanksgiving Day right here. It's going to be cooler than average across most of the country. East Coast, warmer than average. That could only be a couple degrees. Doesn't mean it's going to be tropical and put on shorts. South, going to be a little cooler on Friday. West, you're going to stay cool. It's going to stay cool again in the west. Central part, okay. See that warm tongue? Kind of heading off to the east, and west stays cool. Then it moves to the heart of the country. You know, it's going to lose strength as it moves. Goes over to the east coast. Gets a little kind of normal throughout most of the country. A little warmer up into BC, a little cooler in New England states. A little warmer on the west coast maybe. And then kind of back to normal, a little cooler here. A little bit warmer up north. We'll have to see how that all shakes out. All right. So let's look at the actual Thanksgiving Day forecast here with the pretty lows and highs. Okay, so here we are today. And I'll just take you up into Wednesday and Thursday, and then you can stop watching the video. But please like and subscribe first. That always helps me out. Anyhow, enough with the advertisements. All right, so here's what we're looking at today. We have a low up north, a low in the Four Corners region. That's why we're seeing the snow in those areas. Makes sense, right? As we go into time, this low gets a little bit stronger. Going to see some more widespread snow moving out into the plains. So this is Tuesday. 988, so it's a pretty decent sized low. Now here's the low we were talking about for Oregon. and Southern Oregon, Northern California. So we're going to stop it. Here's Wednesday. 977. It's a pretty strong low. 990, that's a pretty strong low. So there's going to be some snow in the central part of the country, some snow out west. You can see how this affects, Northern California and Southern Oregon, and gets into Eastern Oregon as well. So this is Wednesday. Just kind of watch those two storms. Spreads further inland on Wednesday. This one heads off to the northeast. Further in the day on Wednesday. Same kind of deal. This is heading up to the Great Lakes region. And I'm just going slow because these are the important days for people to travel. I'm not trying to drag the video out. This heads off north to the Great Lakes region. This gets more widespread out west. It's not super heavy precipitation, but still it's going to be enough to mess up travel conditions. Now we see a little bit of snow and sleet and stuff into New Mexico here. We'll have to see how that goes. But this is Thursday, the very start of Thursday. So you see this low moves off the east coast. Mostly rain, which would be good, but it's going to be windy. The snow is getting more widespread. New Mexico into Texas, probably going to move up into Oklahoma. Seeing a little bit of snow in Montana. It's pretty much anywhere out west. It's going to be difficult travels. I won't say impossible, but if you don't know how to drive in snow, then don't try it. Holidays is not the time to try to learn how to drive in the snow. Okay, we see some snow out west for Thanksgiving Day. Snow into New Mexico, Oklahoma. I almost said Idaho, but Texas, not Idaho. That kind of looks like it warms up a little bit because the low is moving north, so it's bringing warmer air with it. But on the north side of the low is where the cold air is. That's why you're seeing the ice, precipitation overrunning the warmer air, or the colder air, sorry. Falling as freezing rain, sleet, all that. It goes from freezing rain to sleet depending on how thick the cold air is. Thicker the cold air, you're going to get sleet, and then if it's really thick, you're going to get snow. Over here, you see a low, and it's moving up into Montana, kind of stretching out into the Four Corners region. And we're just about done with Thanksgiving Day. There's how your Thanksgiving Day ends, pretty much. All the stuff just kind of spreading off to the east. All right, as we go forward in time, pretty big low here. Moving across the central part of the country. See the snow on the backside where the cold air is. This is sucking up the warmer air and throwing it out. But there's still colder air from the last low here, so that's why you're getting the snow or the ice, and then the snow up in the northern part where it's really cold. That's kind of how weather works. And there's a perfect example right there. You can just see slug of moisture overrunning the cold air. It's colder here, so it's snow. I should note too, this is pretty strong low, so tightly packed isobar is pretty, pretty windy. It's going to depend on how much warmer air gets sucked into this. That will depend on where your rain and snow and ice line is. Excuse me. But some heavy snow right around that. Look at that. Right around the low, which is what you would expect. Let's move into time. It looks like the colder air kind of is trying to win out there. And then out in front of it, the cold, same deal, way out in front. I mean, that's throwing moisture hundreds of miles. Way out in front of it, we see another low moving into Oregon and Washington. That moves across the central part of the country. Here comes the next low. Another strong low. It's hanging off the coast. A little bit of snow and ice for the New England states, where this is December 2nd. That low is trying to make its way into Oregon. Going to go right over Portland at 1,000. What is that? Probably 998. So not super strong. Just going to bring in some moisture. Kind of a weird... I'm just looking at the overall. Yeah. So if you remember what we saw in the other one, kind of lower heights, higher heights, lower heights, higher heights. Now this is the time period where it's getting into the lower heights. So you see some stronger lows moving into Oregon. Calling for a pretty big snowstorm there in Washington and California. And then it just kind of scoots across the country. So as you remember, we were watching them kind of go across like this, the heights. So you can kind of see this. Oh, there's that big system. Okay. So it connects with that low. Starts to develop. It's getting stronger. Rain, 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 rain. Snow on the backside. 970. Wow, that's pretty strong. Then you see your next strong system moving into mostly Washington. A little bit of Oregon. Wow, does that say 964? Holy smokes. It's pretty strong. Now you see the moisture swinging on in through Oregon as the front starts to come through. That's a pretty strong low, pretty impressive. This moisture all spreads off to the east. You know, the typical thing. And that's the end of the run, so we'll see what happens. What do we got next? Snowfall forecast, that's right. All right, let's take a look here. Here we are today. So here's the storm we were talking about. Oregon, California. Some heavier snows in the southern parts. Pretty good snowmaker here out in front of it. And then here's Thanksgiving Day. So some bigger snow back in the northern Maine. The west is going to be pretty snowy. Hopefully it won't affect travel too much in the air, at least. On the roads, it obviously will. So that all scoots off to the east. Here we are into November 30th. So your last weekend in November. Pretty decent snowstorm out in the northern parts of the country there. And then that kind of shoots off to the Great Lakes region. More snow into the west. Damn, more snow in the west. Snow in the east, 11 inches right there. Wow, that'd be a pretty big East Coast storm. When is this? Monday, December 2nd. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. See if that's going to actually happen. You see another snowmaker coming into the west. Heads a little south, dies off. Another one's coming in. This one's a low swinging on through. Another one comes into the west. And another one. Sure, one more. And that one stays a little north. I will say this, like I always say, you know, we don't know what's going to happen way out in the future with these model runs. Once you get about past 5 days, 7's okay, but it just gets kind of guessy. It's kind of guesswork. So you just look at the overall patterns. And so if you look at the pattern, so it gets active in the west, and then it kind of stays there a little bit, get some lows off the coast. Then you get this little bit, try to develop, but no. And just keep swinging lows through. That's why we kept seeing lows coming through, impacting. So we'll have to see if it sticks with this solution of keeping it active in the west. Because as you can see, it being active in the west really means it's going to be active for all of the country. It's been pretty active so far in the north and in the east, but it's just going to continue even more so with the west. We'll see stronger lows coming through. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's a peek at that Thanksgiving Day forecast. Like we said, it's going to be stormy in parts of the west. Some heavy snows in parts. But this is WX Ninja. Appreciate you stopping by. And we will see you next time. Take care, everyone.